What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fi here, talking for TrueDFS, and I'm just running a build in the background, and seeing what we get without me plugging anything in today, and what SaberSim would give us. We'll go game by game and talk through this slate. Please give us the like and subscribe and all that stuff when you guys get on in here. And also wanted to remind everybody, our packages are up. We're revamping the site, but really we really think we have like one of the most unique offerings between the partnership with SaberSim, the partnership with PayDirt, Sheets and Goldie's projections, which have been on fire. I've obviously done extremely well. I release all my exact exposures before, after, during slates, and really trying to make it the best customer experience possible. And I really would encourage you guys to check it out. We are still allowing the trials, even if you've used them before. We're going to probably cancel that at some point, but we did want, since we changed our offerings for you guys to have that. But really, we're charging like, I think $20 more than SaberSim for the highest level pack, and then like 15 or 20 in the other ones. And we have all of SaberSim stuff. We have all of the PayDirt stuff, all of, like I said, all of my stuff, all of Sheets' stuff, Brandon Cruz, Adam Perry, Jake Rody doing all of the baseball stuff. So I really think it's worthwhile to give us a look, and and we can go from there. But anyway, just I had to get that part out of the way. Not my favorite thing to do. Another good night last night. Sheets won the showdown for golf. I finished second in I finished second and 12th with 2 entries in the perfect game. So that was like about 8,000. It's a smaller night, so that's what happens. And won pretty much everywhere in baseball. We went through it all actually on air yesterday. So hopefully you guys were able to take advantage. And with that said, I am going to get into each of these situations. And let me run the sims, and then I'm going to talk about each game by game. And before I do, I'm a little late today, so I've been doing a bunch of different other things that were site related, but not necessarily ready for this slate. So we're going to be looking through this together. All right, let me just see. I do think we have some weather things somewhere. I thought I saw, but I want to make sure. Yeah, so San Diego, Pittsburgh, that's not on this slate, right? Yeah, I don't think it is. And neither is Washington, Cincinnati, I don't believe. So I guess we don't have. That's pretty nice of them to the biggest weather games to not have them on the main slate. That's kind. Everything else just looks like there's some worries about Atlanta, which is just what happens in the summer, where they have the weird pop-ups and all that. So anyway, with that, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk game by game. Give us a like, subscribe, all that stuff, and really check out our packages. I think we've got a lot of things that we're offering. All right. Anyway, let's start off with, and I'm going to just try to do my multi-screening as best I can here. Usually doing these with Sheets, but as of right now, I am going to be doing them by myself. So, or as of today only. Sheets is just out today. All right, we have good hitting conditions in between Tampa Bay and New York, but I happen to like both these pitchers. Not today, but just in general as pitchers. I think Pepio's struggled this year, but he's got good stuff, and I believe in the stuff overall. He's actually pitched better his last couple times out, and that was against these Yankees and San Diego. So I'm not going to play Pepio. At least I'm not planning to play Pepio. Maybe I'll end up with a lineup or two. I think Max Fried is completely viable in any conditions. I love Fried as a pitcher, as we know, and he's consistent. Maybe lacks some of the ceiling some of the other guys get, but the strikeouts have been, until the last 2 starts, they started off well this year. They've gone down a little bit. Where do we have him at strikeout wise? So I'm just going to take a quick look and see what SaberSim's got him projected at. 5.72, not bad. So I think that Fried is one of many guys we'll talk about today. In terms of the hitting, a low-owned Yankees stack against Pepio is somewhat. It's not going to be like your Judge is always going to get ownership because he freaking hits a home run every day. What he's doing is like Barry Bonds level stuff. It's freaking crazy. But I do think the Yankees are definitely like in consideration for me as a stack. Even though, like I said, I do have respect for Pepio. He's sort of been a little bit up and down. But I'm okay with taking some shots on the Yankees, but there's going to be some other stacks that I like a little bit better a little bit later on. All right, Baltimore and Kansas City. It's Kremer and Waka. There's not a way that I'm touching either of these pitchers, I don't think. It's, again, 84 degrees in Baltimore, some pretty good hitting conditions, 40% humidity. I think that these bats both make sense, especially the Baltimore side. So have a little bit of interest in that. I think that you'll get some ownership on some of the cheap spots. You see the early projections got Laureano as almost 20% owned. So it's actually getting some decent ownership here. I because the ownership, maybe I could jump the other way. Kansas City getting more of the ownership, but I do think that they at least belong on the list of teams that I'm considering today. So Kansas City and Baltimore. Baltimore, we thought they'd be much better this year than they have been. Let me just get a pen that works. And they have not been quite the same yet. So I'm open to the Baltimore idea, especially, and don't mind the KC option, but a little bit more interested in the Baltimore. All right, Toronto and Cleveland, Bassett and Logan Allen. We like the Blue Jays usually against lefties. I also am not especially interested in Bassett against a pretty, just a frustrating Cleveland team to roster pitchers against because of the low strikeouts. In fact, we'll see what the K prop is. 5.26. It's not a cross off for Bassett for me, but not a guy I'm going out of my way to get. And again, ignore these exposures. This was just running with just pure SaberSim, and they do like the Blue Jays a little bit. And I think I kind of like the Blue Jays just a little bit too. The all-time great bullpen last year that Cleveland had is not quite the same, but still good enough to where I don't necessarily want to go crazy with this. But I do think the Blue Jays are interesting here today. Obviously, we don't have to worry about weather because that game's in a dome. All right. Moving over next, we've got Minnesota in Boston. And let me check the weather in Boston. 73 degrees, some wind blowing out, but we've got two decent pitchers on the mound, Bello and Ryan. So I may end up getting to a little bit of Ryan. Not a priority by any means. And if you wanted to take a shot against Bello, I think you could, but I'm not like in love with it. The Twins are kind of frustrating, and I'm probably just going to not cross off this game, but it's certainly not that high of a priority. I think that there's upside for Joe Ryan at low ownership. I guess that's my favorite part of that game. The A's in Miami. I can't even say Oakland in Miami because I'm just so used to it. Now, I'm going to have to check to see if the roof's open or something. This game's got a big total, 9.5, a big total for the A's. You've got Gunnar Hoglund at 4K. I think we have to at least consider him. He's 4K. They're going to give him a chance to at least get his pitches in. I think this is a spot where even at 75 pitches, 4K, it's a big slate. Do you want to go that way? Maybe. But I'm going to probably have some shares. 4K is 4K. And I will take a stab at this. I think it's basically going to be somewhat of a bullpen game for the Marlins. I don't love stacking against bullpen games on large slates. The A's are okay to me, but I don't think this is a spot. And even the Marlins are okay at these prices. But nobody who crosses over into being like a priority. And you're going to hear that from me a lot. It's baseball. It's a big slate, so we got a lot of things to choose from. And I'm just not quite as high on that game as maybe the numbers would lead you to believe that I would be. All right, so we have the weird weather game, and the again, it's the Braves, and they always have the weird pop-up showers in the rain and all that stuff. Hard not to have some interest in the Dodgers always, especially when they are low owned. And I am not a Grant Holmes. I think he's fine, adequate pitcher. Anybody who's adequate or worse against the Dodgers, I tend to load up. And they're not getting a ton of traction today. It's really hard to play five of them together unless you go diving down. Pages has been unbelievably hot. I am interested in the Dodgers here, assuming this game is a go. And I love Yamamoto as a pitcher. I don't know how much of him I'm going to get to today, but I do think that maybe I'll be slightly above the 12% projected ownership that SaberSim has come out with here for Yamamoto. Let me just make sure I'm still sharing this correctly and everything. Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving over to Houston in Chicago. Always important to check the weather here because we get it's no Chicago. It's just got the craziest weather. All right. So it's 49 degrees. You got 8-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from left. Not the best. It's hard not to say that Valdez is one of the pitchers that you want to play today against this White Sox, whatever you want to call them, team, I guess. I don't love these hitting conditions. Houston lefties would be a thing, maybe. I think they're going to have some decent ownership too. Are they? Let's just see. It's not that crazy. I mean, look, a lot of wishy-washy stacks for me today. So I do think that that Houston is in play, but I don't love that it's 49 degrees and that the wind's blowing in from left. So maybe a little bit of preference more to the lefties than the righties. Jonathan Cannon has actually been pretty bad, but like a little bit less bad than he usually has been so far this season. Again, very early, but still. Yeah, I think Valdez is my highest level of interest from that game. Get out of here. Stop. All right. Seattle in Texas. Brian Wu and Jack Leiter. All right, I'm going to make Brian Wu is a much better option than he's getting credit for. We've seen, mixed results out of him so far. He was dominant at Boston. He was dominant against this Texas team. And I don't really know why we wouldn't have him a little higher. Texas is not, look, they've had a couple of explosions, but this is not like an ultra powerful lineup. Look at the guys. I mean, everybody, it's been pretty awful this year outside of Wyatt Langford for them. So I am definitely interested in Brian Wu today. And I don't see that changing. I don't think I could get to, there's obviously no way I'm playing Jack Leiter, but I don't think I'm going to get to a Seattle stack. Every stadium is an upgrade for them, so they're definitely going to be in consideration for me. They're getting some love. Look, I'll call them a secondary stack for me at best right now. But I don't think that I'm heavily interested in that one, as this is a monster slate. But again, we've gone through this now for a while, and I haven't come up with that much that I like at all. So we've got we'll have to find something that we like a little bit better. All right, Chicago and Milwaukee. Let me just grab this really quick. Ben Brown, Quinn Priester, not playing either of these pitchers. And seems like this total, it is at 9. Okay, I thought it was going to be a little, right around there. I think the Cubs I think Priester's a little bit better than people think. I think the Cubs are just a really good offense. And got Carson Kelly up to 5.2K. How did that happen? That's wild. I guess he had those monster multi-home run games. He's I guess that's why. So I guess the Cubs are another expensive stack that I think is going to be low owned. Again, I think Priester's I don't think he's like super bad or anything like that. He's had some he'll have up and down games, and he's had some where he's got rocked. Obviously, if you're playing the Cubs, you're hoping that's the same case here. And I am definitely a little bit interested in an unowned Cubs stack, and Milwaukee is also going to be pretty low owned. So a little bit of interest here for the Cubs and Milwaukee, but especially the Cubs. I do think this is a nearly elite level offense, maybe an elite level offense. I think they're right up there with these guys. Tucker's been incredible. Suzuki's been incredible. Bush has been incredible. Pete Crow Armstrong has been like the hottest player in baseball, basically. I think we should have some interest in the Cubs here. And the pricing is uncomfortable. It's going to make people not want to do it. I think this is a good excuse to get overweight the Chicago Cubs. All right, New York in St. Louis. Sorry, I'm still learning everything as we go here, and I'll tighten this up before I go live later today. All right, we've got Sonny Gray and Clay Holmes. I don't like taking pitchers against the Mets on big slates. The temperature's down to 64 in St. Louis today. Clay Holmes against St. Louis is not a cross off for me either. Let's see the strikeout. It's about pretty similar between the two of them. I think they're both fine, but nothing that I'm heavily prioritizing. And because of it, though, I don't exactly want to fall in love with the bats here. Could the Mets just have a breakout against anybody? Sure, but I don't think that it's where I'm going to be placing my money. Detroit, my saviors from last night. Thank you to the Torkelson home run late in the game. This is my favorite pitcher on the slate is Skubal. And when have you heard that before? That's always my favorite pitcher on the slate, on pretty much every slate. 7.1 expected strikeout rate. Now, what's interesting is Soriano on the other side has a 5.2 expected strikeout and no ownership at 6,900. I think Soriano is definitely in play here. But I think I mean, like he gets hit hard, and he also gives up, he gives up plenty of power. So secondary tier would be Detroit, and I'll tighten this stuff up at the end. But I think that they fall into the tier 2 for me category. As it depends on also how their lineup shakes out, which is, I know it sounds weird, but it is, I do think it's relevant. All right, and then we've got the other obvious pitcher of the night, which is going to be Robbie Ray, and I think that Robbie Ray is just a little behind Skubal for me against these Rockies. Now, it's a funny thing because if this was a 4-game slate like last night, I'd be talking about playing Robbie Ray. I'd be talking about playing the Rockies because just you want to get different, and obviously Robbie Ray has a range of outcomes. Now, he also has a ceiling, and he's facing the worst team obviously the worst team on any slate. Plus, I need my Giants to get going. Robbie Ray and Skubal are pretty clearly the 1 and 2. I have Skubal 1, Ray 2. And I think that's where you're starting. What is going on here with my screen? My internet just kind of crapped on me. Hopefully I'm still live. But Robbie Ray, yeah, he's been Robbie Ray. He's had, some good starts and some awful starts. The strikeouts are still there. The problem is, so are the walks. Fortunately, with Colorado, not the most patient team. Also, he gives up power, and you can steal on him. So that's why I would love to stack against him on the small slate, but didn't get there. And in San Francisco today, it's 57, pretty normal. You know how it is in San Francisco. Even middle of summer, 50 degrees. That's what happens. The Giants are definitely in play for me. They have not been great. And Senzatella, I used to defend. It's become harder to defend him. He started off this year looking pretty good. He's been really, really bad ever since. But then again, I look at some of the matchups have been tough, and of course, he's pitching in Coors half the time, or actually a little bit more. And maybe outside of Coors, I'm not going to play him on this slate, obviously. But like again, on a 4-gamer, I'd be talking about Senzatella and the Rocky stack on a big slate. We're talking about Robbie Ray and the Giants stack. That's just the way that things go sometimes. So I do have the Giants as one of my second tier teams. I think the Dodgers are my favorite, along with the Dodgers, Cubs, Yankees, KC, Baltimore, Blue Jays are probably the ones I'm sided towards the most, but I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. I'm going to run some more sims and just keep trying to play around with a few things and see if I can get to something that I like. And once I do, all of our members will be the first to know what I'm doing. And then we will talk through the slate again at 5:30 Eastern time. Appreciate all you guys and all your support. Give us a like on the way out of here, and good luck tonight, everyone. I'll also cover a little NBA showdown when we talk later. NBA obviously been excellent to Sheets and I since we, since the playoffs have started. All right, good luck, everybody.